All right, Steelers fans, we got a mailbag for you today. It's going to be, I can't wait to see your questions. I haven't seen your questions at all. Chugs is completely surprising me with these questions. But before we dive into your questions today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now for Steelers videos every single day this offseason. Changes are going to happen in Pittsburgh this offseason, guys. People are going to get signed. People are going to get cut. Draft picks are going to come in. If you want comprehensive Steelers coverage this offseason, go ahead and subscribe. Then we also have weekly live shows. This video is actually recorded during our weekly live show. It's the most interactive YouTube channel for the Steelers on YouTube. We have weekly mailbags just like this video right now. And then also more subscribers equals more videos on the channel. Guys, Chat Sports is a business, so the more views, more subscribers that come to this channel, the more resources they're going to put there. And then, of course, it's 100% free to click that subscribe button. Do that for me right now. So the first question here comes from Gary Reynolds, a super chat. Let's go. King Yinzer right now. Let's see if anyone is going to top him. He says, O-line, what will it look like in 2024? Does he mean 2023 or 2024? Okay, so I'm going to answer for 2023. What I think it's going to look like, Gary, is I think they're going to cut Chukwuma Okorafor because he's got a massive contract. He was the lowest graded offensive lineman on the Steelers' offensive line right now. You don't want to be paying that guy a bunch of money. So I think they're going to cut him. They're going to make him a post-June 1st cut so they save more money. Then they're going to move Dan Moore Jr. over to right tackle, and then they're going to draft a new left tackle in the first round. I think that, you look at Paris Johnson Jr., Peter Skoronski, Broderick Jones, and I'm hearing that Anton Harrison is starting to creep up draft boards. One of those guys is probably going to be available for the Steelers at number 17. So I think the Steelers are going to go get that left tackle there in the first round. And then it's going to be mostly the same, right? You're returning 4 out of 5 starters. You're just adding the left tackle, the most important piece, to your offensive line. All right, guys, now we got Nat Webbs World here who put in a $5 super chat. Perfect, man. Okay, let's get this. Steelers should draft Jordan Addison unless Christian Gonzalez is on the board. Pick up Darnell Wright in the second, pairing college quarterbacks with their wide receivers works. And, the track record on that is definitely solid. Not Webb's World. You look at Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa, they have a great connection. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. I think it would be probably the same thing if it was Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, and I fully expect Kenny to be pounding the table for them to take a slot receiver in Jordan Addison. He'd be a great fit, but I just think that early on, the Steelers aren't going to be looking to get wide receivers. There's been multiple reports saying the Steelers aren't really looking at early round receivers. They might be looking to get one in the later rounds, but I really think they're either going to draft cornerback or left tackle there with that first pick at number 17 overall. Next up, another $5 super chat here from Mr. Korn, who asked, should Pittsburgh trade or keep Deontay? Personally, I think they should keep him. Now, I understand why some people want to trade him. Okay, he does have some concentration drops. He's not a great red zone receiver because he's not that big and he's a smaller target. But at the end of the day, guys, the Steelers had one of the best third down offenses in the National Football League last year. Second half of the season, they had the number 1 third down offense because they relied on Deontay Johnson in the slot to get open. If he's not there, the Steelers' offense is absolute garbage. They are not converting those third downs. And, you could definitely argue that the Steelers' offense wasn't that good, even with him on the field. But if you take him out right now, I think this offense is not very good, led by Matt Canada. Deontay Johnson kept it afloat last year by getting open against man coverage. I just don't think you can take him out of the system and expect good results. Next up here, it is Blake, who says, would you trade Alex Highsmith for a first-round pick? I think it depends on the first rounder. I would probably say no right now. I understand why. I think it opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. I think it opens up the possibility to maybe go get a Daron Payne or a big name free agent for the Steelers because you don't have to pay Highsmith big money a couple years down the line. But at the end of the day, I think the Highsmith TJ Watt combination last year was really, really good. The Steelers had one of the best defenses in the league with those two leading the pass rush. I don't think I would trade him unless it was a top 15 pick. I'm probably not trading Alex Highsmith. All right, guys, go in the comment section right now and tell me, who is more likely to be traded? Alex Highsmith, if you think it's him, type AH, or if it's Deontay Johnson, type DJ. This is the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here on the show, go ahead, go into the comment section, find that pinned comment, and answer today's question. Our next question comes from Caleb Ebel, who asks, who do you think the Steelers will get left tackle in free agency? I'm not sure if they're going to get a left tackle in free agency. I think they want to get one in the draft. They're doing a ton of research on left tackle prospects in the draft this upcoming year, and I think they're going to take one early on. Whether it be round 1 or round 2, they're going to try to get that left tackle for the future. At the very least, get a right tackle and keep Dan Moore Jr. on that left side. So I don't think they're going to get one in free agency. Probably the best one that's going to be on free agency for the Steelers is going to be Taylor Lewan. I know a lot of Steelers fans don't want him to come to the Steelers. He has a bit of a beef with TJ Watt. He's been injured. He's getting older. He's going to be probably asking for like a $10 million per year contract, despite those injuries and the age. I don't think there's many good options in free agency. I think the Steelers' best option is to get one in the draft. Next question comes from Garian Cozier, and he says, why not, and it's a super chat, a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Garian. He says, why not trade Highsmith, pick up Dupree, and draft a pass rusher with the pick you get? And listen, Gary, and that's a pretty decent argument there. Like, you could trade Highsmith, you could bring in a guy like Dupree that's had success with the team, and you could bring in kind of a younger guy that can be that next Alex Highsmith. But the thing with that is that it comes with inherent risk. You draft a guy in the draft, you're not really sure he's going to turn into what Alex Highsmith already is. So it's like, do you play with what the Steelers already have? Like, the Steelers already have something good. Do you risk losing that in order to get something better, or do you stick with what you have? I think personally, the Steelers are more of a conservative type organization. I think they're going to stick with what they have and extend Alex Highsmith this offseason. Another super chat, they are flowing in right now, comes from Gary Reynolds, who says, players you would avoid during the draft process. Players I would avoid. That's a good question. I think so. Noah Sewell, I know that Dominic Schrader, who's probably in the chat, he loves Noah Sewell, but he's just he's very raw. He's only 6'2". I think there's other players that, especially if you're trying to draft him in like round 2, stay away from Noah Sewell. 4th round, go ahead, take him. But like early on in the draft, do not take Noah Sewell. That's one of them that comes to mind to me. Probably not a slot wide receiver. A lot of people are looking at Jordan Addison. Some are even saying Zay Flowers, but I don't think the Steelers are going to be looking for wide receiver. I can't think of any. I can't think of any more. I think this is a great video idea. Actually, I'm going to do a video about this coming up later this week, probably. All right, so now this one comes from IQ Takes Elo, who says, should the Steelers get Ramsey or Peters? In my opinion, Ramsey is a beast. Now, there's definitely other options than just Ramsey or Peters. It's definitely more likely that Peters ends up with the Steelers. Now, I'm not a big fan of Marcus Peters' game. I think it's very all or nothing. I think he gives up big plays. I think the one weakness for the Steelers defense last year was that they gave up too many big plays, so I don't think we need more of that. But Jalen Ramsey, I mean, first of all, he needs to pretty much ask for a trade. And, that's possible. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And even if it does happen, the money is going to be tough. He makes a ton of money. He's one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the National Football League. And the Steelers already have a buttload of big contracts on their roster. Plus, if you're going to get Ramsey, you almost have to trade Alex Highsmith. That's something that I don't think the Steelers are going to want to do. So although the thought of Jalen Ramsey in a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey is very enticing, I just don't think it's a realistic possibility. Then this one comes from Dean Dave, who asked, should we sign Javon Hargrave or James Bradberry? Now, Javon Hargrave is going to be a tough get because these disruptors in the middle of the field, these defensive tackles like Deron Payne, Javon Hargrave, they're going to be making upwards of $20 million per season. And I just don't think the Steelers have that kind of cap space unless they want to trade Alex Highsmith or something and try to save up some money, make some big cuts. You probably have to get rid of like probably Akella Witherspoon, Levi Wallace, Miles Jack. You're going to have to give away all of those guys to get a guy like Javon Hargrave. And then James Bradberry is going to be making a lot of money as well. He's in the news a lot lately, but he's more of a zone corner than a man corner in the Steelers defense. They have a lot of man match zone concepts. So that's really reliant on James Bradberry's ability to stick with guys one-on-one. I'm not sure if he has a great ability to do that. So I would probably say neither. I don't think they're going to sign either one. I don't think they should sign either one. Save your money. Both pretty darn good players, but I think the Steelers are probably going to save some money here. So go ahead in the comment section right now and tell me, should Bradberry have been called for a hold in the Super Bowl? Give your opinion down in the comment section. Yes or no. Give the right opinion here. Okay, guys. Next question coming up here. It comes from Anthony Fuller, who says, yeah, thank you for your service, Anthony. Great uniform there, looking great. He says, how big of an impact will Calvin Austin III make next season? And Anthony, that's tough because we haven't seen him. Now, the reports are saying that in practice, in preseason, he was very dynamic. He was very fast out of his breaks. He was getting open. He was going to be a starter in the slot. That was the expectation, or that he was going to get a rotational piece, or a role alongside Chase Claypool in the slot. Now, he is young. He is tiny. He's not going to be great at the catch point. He's really going to have to be a great get-open type receiver. Like, he's going to have to be great against man coverage. He's going to have to be fast, taking the top off of the defense. But, he's coming off a foot injury, a pretty major one. So it's like, is that speed still going to be there? I'm still very optimistic about his prospects, but I think the Steelers should have contingency plans just in case he doesn't pan out. Next question comes from Matt Hyde, who says, this isn't really a question, but what do you think of the Steelers trade up for the 6, the pick, and the trade Deontay Johnson and their 49 pick and draft their tackle? So trading up to is he asking trade up to 6? I think he is. Yeah. So trading up to 6. Who's picking at 6? I can't. Oh, who is? So Seahawks are at 5. It's not Carolina. It's not Atlanta. Is it Detroit? All right. Hold on for a second. So it's Detroit. So trading with Detroit for the 6th overall pick. I don't think they really need Deontay Johnson personally. I think that they're probably going to want to get a guy like Christian Gonzalez, a lockdown number 1 cornerback. So I'm not sure if they'd even be willing to trade that number 6 overall pick. And I just don't think this is something they'd be interested in personally. I don't think the Steelers want to trade Deontay Johnson personally. Like, I think the Steelers love Deontay Johnson. It's a good idea. Drafting their tackle. So essentially saying their number 1 tackle, going up and get a guy like Broderick Jones. I think that they're probably going to stay put. I think they're going to have a couple guys that they like. And the Steelers aren't really, unless it's for Devin Bush, like they don't really trade up for guys in the draft. It's not really their bag. Maybe Omar Khan changes things up. But I think that they're probably going to stand pat. If they do trade up, it's going to be because tackles go early and they have like 1 left on their board that they really like and they have to go get. So go ahead and tell me in this comment section right now, what is the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest team need going into this offseason? For me, it's probably cornerback. You got to get a new left tackle, in my opinion, as well. But if I had to pick one to get a really good player in the draft to fill in, I think that cornerback is number 1 need for the Steelers. Next one comes from Rad Swag, who asks, crazy idea, but what if we tried to sign Orlando Brown? Now, Brown's going to be expensive. He played his ass off in the Super Bowl, okay? He's going to make a big payday. Will he return to Kansas City? Usually teams that have a solid left tackle like Orlando Brown end up re-signing them, so I guess we'll see, but there is rumblings that Orlando Brown isn't the most happy with the Kansas City Chiefs organization, so he might be hitting the open market, but just given Orlando Brown's history, he's going to be somebody that asks for top-of-the-line money. Like, he wants to get paid like a top 3 left tackle, if not the highest paid tackle in the National Football League, and he just didn't play fantastically this year, right? You'd be paying a premium price for somebody that didn't give you premium results this year. That scares the hell out of me. He's definitely the best free agent left tackle on the market this year, but I think the Steelers, the best way forward is to not spend an inordinate amount of money on a left tackle. Go get somebody cheap, somebody young, someone you can develop, and I think that's probably the best way for the Steelers to go in 2023. Next question comes from Chris Jones, who says, could the Steelers trade for either Mike Evans or Chris Godwin? Heard the Bucs are selling. No, it's very possible, right? They just lost Tom Brady. The roster is kind of iffy right now. The roster's starting to get really expensive. Mike Evans could be a potential trade partner or trade candidate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, but I just don't see the Steelers making a big splash and getting another big contract. Like, you have to realize that these good players, they come with big contracts. The Steelers don't have a ton of cap space entering the 2023 offseason. Of course, you can manipulate the hell out of the cap, and the Steelers can front load like the Los Angeles Rams did, but I just don't think that's the type of organizational philosophy that Art Rooney wants to have in his organization. So I'm not sure if either of those contracts is something that the Steelers are willing to go pursue. All right, guys, go ahead and go interact with me on Twitter. If you got another Steelers question, a mock draft, you want to run something by me, go ahead and do it on social media. On Twitter, I am at Jack_Sperry, and I'm at sparedog.football on Instagram. If you give me a follow on Twitter, I will make sure that you get a shout out on next week's live show.